Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for True Hill Heat's A&E Biography review of The Ultimate Warrior. I am here once again with the connoisseur of reporting himself, Mr. Romeo Anthony Cologne.
What is up, SP3, everyone watching? SP3, you're frozen for me. I don't know if it's for the viewers as well, but for me,
Yeah,
you are.
I'm actually frozen on my end, so you tell the fine people to like, share, and subscribe. I'll be
Yes.
right back.
Oh, then there he is. He was just there.
I was there. I'm here. I'm
Yeah, I can
still
see you.
here. Oh, you can see me? Great. Great
But
stuff.
I don't know what's going on. A little bit slow. Well, hey, North Korea's still messing around with our stream from last week, I guess. I don't know.
They don't like us here at True Hill Heat, so I'm gonna step back in. You tell the people to like and all that stuff on all the great platforms here.
Yes, guys, we thank you for watching the True Heel Heat YouTube channel. Please help us out. Leave us a like on whatever media platform you're watching, a share, leave us a comment, let us know. We're going to talk about biography, A&E, The Ultimate Warrior. This is Warrior Week. We've also got Dark Side of the Ring on Thursday on the Vice channel. So we got two Ultimate Warrior biographies to go over. This is going to be a lot of fun because they may be very different in tone. But yeah, drop that like. If you're watching on Facebook, drop us an emoji, a thumbs up, a heart. If you care about us, give us the care button. If you're angry at us, give us the angry emoji. Whatever emoji you think best describes our video review here, Ultimate Warrior. Waiting for Sid to rejoin us as North Korea continues to mess with our stream. The Collision in Korea. Check out that review from last week. And
Hey,
here
I'm
he is.
back.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Yes, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. This is the lovely live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Sometimes you have these technical difficulties, but we work through it. That's what we do here on True Hill Heat. I know you told everybody to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We definitely want to hear your thoughts on this edition of the A&E biography for The Ultimate Warrior. So leave your thoughts in the live chat if you're watching with us live. Of course, send in your super chats if you want to guarantee that we highlight your comment. And a little incentivizing our super chats. Anyone who is super chatting will be a part of our first ever call-in for our live stream. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to do a call-in. So not only will your comments be featured on True Hill Heat, on our YouTube channel, on Facebook and Twitter, we will give you a link to join us live to be a part of our first ever call-in. We're going to have more information about our first ever call-in on True Hill Heat 127 on Saturday. So send in those super chats. Mont Black is the one person already entered to join us on our call-in, and anyone else, $1 or more you donate through our super chats here during the live stream here, during our live stream on Friday for Dark Side of the Ring, or our live stream on Saturday for True Hill Heat, or even our live stream on Sunday for Double or Nothing Roundtable. We got a full week of live streams ahead for Double or Nothing Week, or the Ultimate Warrior Week, as Romeo has coined it. So you can be a part of all of that by sending in one of those super chats. So, Romeo, you are usually the quarterback on anything you do, NX3, True Rewind, these A&E biographies. So why don't you take it away, sir?
Yes, this biography starts off with the parallels of Warrior, aka Jim Hellwig, and his two daughters, who we see one is kickboxing, the other performing as a ballerina. One daughter says, I didn't know which one, says to tell the story of the warrior, you can't censor anything. And I was like, okay, challenge accepted. All right.
I was very interested by that myself. I was like, oh, okay, this is a good start. This is a good start to where we're going here.
They start with his childhood. His mother's being interviewed. Says he was shy and insecure as a teen. His insecurities grow when his father leaves him and his four siblings.
Yeah, I mean that's something that I think a lot of people can relate to, and definitely, I think if Warrior came up in this generation, it probably would be something very prominent about his whole character. Because if you notice with professional wrestling today, whether it's WWE, AEW, New Japan, they don't shy away from those type of stories, and it kind of brings resonates with a bunch of like the audience and the viewers and the fans, and it creates a greater connection between the performer and the audience.
He falls in love with bodybuilding in high school and eventually moves to Georgia for better opportunities in that career field. He gets married young. He wins the title of Mr. Georgia.
Hey, I was more I wasn't that interested into this early portion. I was more interested in the parts, about his family upbringing, being the oldest of five kids. That's a lot on a single mom, with the father leaving. That's what made me really appreciate his mom's contributions, especially during this early portion of his story. Now getting into, through his high school years and working out, and we got to meet his football coach and a couple of his friends that he would like bodybuild with, and he used like Arnold Schwarzenegger as like his inspiration. You kind of see like the trickling of what became one of his main character traits, and that's kind of like obsession. He had a very much of an obsession, whether it was being the best in wrestling, whether it was his body. He had a very obsessive type of personality.
We see a clip of Madigan Warrior, one of his daughters, kickboxing, and she says, never say never in terms of becoming a professional wrestler, which I find very interesting.
I did find that very interesting as well, because she looked like she was moving very well. She has a great look to her. Their daughters look exactly like the mother. Like it's like striking the features. Like they just look like a brown hair version of their mother. It was very striking in the first thing that I noticed. And I did also notice what his I think his oldest is Madigan, and then his youngest is Indiana, named after where he grew up.
And he wasn't making money in bodybuilding, so that's where wrestling comes into play. Sting, aka Steve Borden, is a part of this biography. He remembers meeting Warrior in the gym. He had a couple of guys that he was rolling with. They lose a wrestler and invite Warrior to take his spot. And Sting and Warrior are picked out to go to Memphis Wrestling. They are known first as the Freedom Fighters. They destroy everyone, and it's not working, beating up smaller guys as baby faces. So they turn heel, they change their look, they become the Blade Runners. Black face paint or eye paint and really bad black lipstick. And then there's they show some intense promos of them working out. And Jerry Lawler admits their matches were horrible.
They did not look good, even from the small pictures that we saw, or the small images and footage that we saw. Did not look good. It was very much clunky. And the story of the Blade Runners, I think, is a very interesting one, because we saw the juxtaposition with last week when we saw the Shawn Michaels documentary, and him coming into wrestling very prominent with the Midnight Rockers into the Rockers, and then they have their separation, and one goes to superstardom, and the other is talking about killing a black guy when he was 13 years old. So you see the differences between that, how one tag team partner can go to success and the other one not so much. With the Blade Runners, they're one of the rare stories where both of them went to the heights and the pinnacle of the industry when they separated.
Yeah, crazy. Sting tells a story of how opinionated Warrior was. One time they backed out of a match, and Bill Watts told them they had to finish their dates if they wanted to get paid, which is what Sting does, but Warrior does not. And Warrior ends up being mad at Sting for not doing the same he did, and that leads to their breakup.
Yeah, you gotta stick with the warrior, or he's gonna be pissed off with you. That seems to be like he's a very opinionated soul and a very angry person. He's very easily angered. It seemed like that was another thing that was common in this entire story.
So Warrior is off to World Class Championship Wrestling in Dallas, Dave Meltzer calls him perfect for that audience of women who are into good-looking dudes with great physiques. And Jim Helwig comes up with the name Dingo Warrior. From
Well,
Queens,
no,
New York. Get the fuck out of here. You're not from Queens, New York.
actually, it was the promoter because he just wanted to be the warrior, and they needed like something to go along with it. So he tells the story how one of the wrestlers had a dog, and it was a dingo. And basically, they just put the two together, and that's what came up with the Dingo Warrior.
And it's WWF time, where they say Vince McMahon handpicked him out of WCCW and molded him into the Ultimate Warrior. The entrance, which is legendary. He quickly becomes
Yes.
one of the most popular wrestlers besides Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I mean, you can see why, especially in the 80s where, big personalities, big muscles, colorful personalities were the thing that stood out the most to people. You see Hogan didn't wear black and white until the 90s when things got a little bit grittier. He was known for his yellow and red, and then the Warrior just had neon colors, the tassels everywhere, the face paint. He just stood out so much, and it goes back to what we're talking about with the Blade Runners. I think that they needed to separate because Warrior got to be successful in the WWF while Sting was able to use kind of those same similarities, like the colorful, surfer dude with the blonde hair. He became successful in Jim Crockett Promotions and then the NWA into WCW. They needed that separation because both of their characters was very similar. And I think that if they were under the same umbrella, they wouldn't have been as successful as they went on to be.
They present SummerSlam 1988 as the launching point for Ultimate Warrior with the Honky Tonk Man, the IC title, Open Challenge. Place goes, as Uncle Gino says, and they also show a great clip of him on the Arsenio Hall show, full character, full Ultimate Warrior. I enjoyed that.
Oh, absolutely. I think anyone who was brought up in that 80s generation remembers like Ultimate Warrior, of course. We Ultimate Warrior, having his breakout moment at SummerSlam 1988 against the Honky Tonk Man. The Honky Tonk Man, the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion in history. This was the first ever SummerSlam in Madison Square Garden. So this was a moment in time. I was watching this with my wife, and I told her, I was like, this is like the first ever SummerSlam moment. This was the moment that kind of took SummerSlam and made it like the second or third biggest event for the WWF. A lot of it can trace back to this one moment with the Ultimate Warrior becoming the Intercontinental Champion because it was so much energy, so energetic. I love Shane McMahon's contributions kind of telling about the moment. Shane McMahon did add a lot to this documentary, in my opinion. We got a couple of comments here. Jason Michael Campbell is in the comment section saying, "Sup, True Heel fan." He says he was shocked that Warrior had no kids with his first wife, and they were married for like 8 years. Yeah, I think that was one of the first things that I picked up on when we were watching this documentary. I'm talking to my wife. She really wants to see the Dark Side of the Ring episode to kind of see the differences. And I said the one big difference that Dark Side of the Ring that I already heard about is that they interviewed his first wife. And I feel like they kind of glossed over the steroid use in how Warrior got to build up his amazing physique. I think they kind of brushed over it. They said it was very common in those days and that you can go to a pharmacy and pick up steroids. I do like those like little notes and little sound bites that they gave us here, but they kind of glossed over that. And they didn't say what was the after effects of how Warrior was at home due to, so much steroid use to build his body to the physique that he got it to. I think that his first wife will add a lot during the Dark Side of the Ring episode. He also says Animal of the Legion of Doom called them an imitation of the Road Warriors as the Blade Runners. You can definitely see that, especially with the neon eye paint. It looked very masculine in my opinion. It didn't look as intimidating as the Road Warrior, but it was just like a knockoff, a dollar value version of the Road Warriors in my opinion. Oh, we lost Romeo, just as Chrissy Love was saying. Romeo was able to get out of Korea, but it's still North Korea is still affecting his Wi-Fi at this point, folks. And I think he's on his way back here. And Chrissy Love says, "Welcome home to Romeo," and she says, good morning to you, Chrissy. We miss you. We'll see you on Friday for the Dark Side of the Ring review. Romeo, are you okay? Is North Korea still playing tricks on you?
Oh, uh oh. She just, oh, damn. I'm here.
He's here with us, folks.
Nice timing.
Yes. We're glad you're back with us. And then Chrissy loves saying she missed you guys. I miss you. We miss you. We will see you on Friday for sure, and Saturday. Chrissy Love's gonna be busy this weekend, Friday and Saturday, with the Dark Side of the Ring review and True Hill Heat 127 live with Stephanie Chase and Richard Benson. We got two guest hosts for True Hill Heat on Saturday, so it's gonna be a big one. But Romeo, continue on with the story.
Yes, Shane McMahon, as you were talking about, he gets deep and talks of how Warrior never really had a childhood. And that's probably why he connected so well with being the Ultimate Warrior. It was an extension of himself, got to escape and live out a lot of the things he never got to do. And Shane also talks of how Vince McMahon was a father figure to Warrior, one of the few wrestlers that Vince fight over. The producer asked Shane, would Warrior do the dishes? And Shane laughed, and Shane was like, sure, I'm sure he would if you asked him. And I could see easily how Vince could be a father figure to Jim Hellwig. What about you?
Oh, absolutely. When we learned the story about his father leaving him when he was only 10 years old and being the oldest son of four other siblings, that's a lot. Like you kind of have to take on the mantle of the man of the house, of the father of the family. And to never have that at such a young age, at 10 years old, that takes a lot. So to meet someone like Vince McMahon who has this intimidating like aura around him, and everything that he's accomplished in the wrestling industry, I can definitely understand why Jim saw him as a father figure, why he was so close with Linda. That was one part that I felt like they was very lacking in telling. That part of his story is his relationship with Linda McMahon, because we later would hear her introduce him. They didn't even show her introducing him at the Hall of Fame. It was weird. It kind of felt like she was the Bret Hart in the Stone Cold story. We heard her voice, we saw clips of her, but we never really got to hear from her. And I feel like that relationship was always a mystery to a lot of people. It was always like wow, we didn't know. When they first had it, when I remember when Ultimate Warrior was getting inducted to the Hall of Fame and they said Linda McMahon's gonna induct him, everybody's confused, what, huh? Why is Linda gonna introduce him? Wouldn't it mean more for Vince to introduce him due to their history? But then we found out that him and Linda had this close bond, this close relationship, and I feel like that wasn't really addressed at all during this documentary.
They go into his feud with Andre the Giant. They show Warrior slamming Andre and talk about how there's only one place to go after you slam Andre, and that's straight to the top, Hulk Hogan. They had a Ultimate Warrior biographer, Chad Ventures.
Yes,
I hope I'm saying his name right.
I think so.
He speaks on how Terry Bollea and Jim Hellwig had a personal rivalry and a mutual professional gym. And they had Paul Heyman, who was great on this, confirming it, saying Warrior was designed to replace Hulk Hogan. And how can he not resent that? Fair point. Heyman says, in Warrior's point of view, if you're designed to replace someone, you have to see how you're better than them. And as insecure as both of these men are, you can easily see how a rivalry is born, as they are talking about here.
Yeah, two very insecure men going at it in this highly competitive business. It's completely understandable, and I do agree with you. For someone who wasn't really a part of the story at all, Jim didn't spend any time in ECW. Jim wasn't in WCW when Heyman was coming up and stuff. For Heyman to have this introspective viewpoint and analysis of the whole situation, he really added a lot. And that's why I was like telling my wife as we were watching this, I was like, Paul Heyman is just such a great storyteller. Like he's a wrestling historian and he knows what happened, so he's able to tell this story better than people that were actually involved in the story. Like they didn't even call Hulk Hogan to talk about the Ultimate Warrior story because they knew he was full of shit. Probably they were like, we're not even gonna call Hogan. We got the clips from him in 2014 and 2005. We don't need him now. We prefer Paul Heyman tell his parts. Like that's how it felt. We got Jay Quest in the comments on Facebook saying definitely Dollar Tree Road Warriors. Oh, for sure. For sure, the Blade Runners was the Dollar Tree Road Warriors. That's for sure. And keep on putting those thoughts in the live chat, ladies and gentlemen. Drop us a like, drop us a heart emoji, a laugh emoji, an angry emoji as we get into more of the deep dive stuff when it concerns Ultimate Warrior. Let us know how you feel by dropping us one of those expressions. Tag a friend in the live chat, but continue giving your thoughts in the live chat because this whole live stream is about you guys. You guys are the third host along with myself and Romeo. Take it away, Rom.
They show some interesting behind-the-scenes footage of their contract signing between Hogan and Warrior, and Warrior's cutting a promo, and Vince cuts it and tells him to give a pause before it starts. And I thought this was so interesting because you could see the intensity in Warrior. You see him getting in and out of the zone of his character, and it looked like it was just taking a physical toll on him just to be the Ultimate Warrior and cut an Ultimate Warrior promo. You'll see this several times in the biography.
Yeah, I wouldn't say physical toll. I would say mental toll. I think it took a lot for Warrior to kind of like turn on that switch in his head, and like we saw in the other documentaries like Macho Man, Randy Savage, and Roddy Piper, they never really turned off who they were. Like Roddy Piper was Roddy Piper in front of the camera and behind the camera. Macho Man Randy Savage, for so long in his career, he had to keep being the Macho Man. Like like Kevin Nash said, like later on in his life, he didn't, when he had the full gray beard, like he finally didn't sound like the Macho Man. He sounded like Randy Poffo. And you could tell with like Warrior, it, he didn't have that. He wasn't the Ultimate Warrior the entire time, which I think would be too much on his psyche if he was able to do that. I think that he had the switch where the lights went on and he turned it on. It's kind of like Brock Lesnar of today, to make a comparison to someone of this generation. Brock Lesnar is Brock Lesnar when the switch goes on the light in front of the camera. Brock Lesnar isn't that Brock Lesnar when he's behind the camera, when he's with Rena at home, when he's hunting. He's not that same Brock Lesnar. And I think Ultimate Warrior is similar in that state where the light goes on and the Warrior comes out. And it really feels like when his time in WWE is officially done, not after the first time, the second time in 1992, I think that's when he finally was just like, no, I'm going to be Warrior all the time, when he gets like the name change and everything, and he has to really embrace the whole character. That's when he finally is like, no, I'm going to put that switch on the entire time. Right at this point in 1990, he's able to have that switch on when the light goes on.
Then they get into WrestleMania 6, the Ultimate Challenge. Hogan misses the leg drop, the Warrior splash. Heyman speaks of how much pressure was on Warrior just to be in this match, and it's a big effing deal to beat Hulk Hogan in his prime, clean, in the middle of the ring. They give a story that we've heard plenty of time before, the Warrior going in the back and just crying.
Yes, it's one story that we've heard a bunch of times. I would have liked more emphasis on Pat Patterson's role in this entire matchup, because that's one thing that I've always heard is that, Warrior and Hogan were these great characters, but they weren't known for having great matches. Definitely, not the Warrior, Hogan's great matches were few and far between before 1990, and it was really Pat Patterson put together the perfect match for these guys to, highlight their strengths, hide their weaknesses, and it really is one of the greatest main events in WrestleMania history when you think about like star power, the hype going in, the build up going in, and the performances of the two guys. Like it's Ultimate Warrior's probably his second best match in my opinion, which we'll talk more about, the later part of his career. And one of the big, I think, holes in the whole story of his in-ring career was his greatest match of all time, which really wasn't talked about at all. But this one is definitely stands up as top 2, top 3 of Warrior's greatest performance of all time, and probably in the top 5 for Hogan as well.
Then they get into his world championship reign, as Peter Rosenberg says, the beginning of the end. Dave Meltzer says they didn't really have guys lined up for him. They had a retread in Rick Rude, a young Undertaker, Jake the Snake Roberts, and eventually Warrior drops the title to Sergeant Slaughter. Go ahead.
No, this was one part where they got it all wrong. They didn't even tell the right timeline. Warrior didn't feud with the Undertaker when he was WWF champion. If you remember, Undertaker debuts at Survivor Series 1990. And like he's just being built up as this, unstoppable monster. It wasn't until after WrestleMania 7 that he actually feuded with the Ultimate Warrior, after Warrior had already lost the WWF Championship. So I just had to mention that they totally got the timeline and the stuff wrong. Who was it that was saying this part? Was it Peter Rosenberg? Because he's such a shield for WWE. I don't want to blame him because WWE just probably put the propaganda in his back and just pulled the string.
I don't remember who said the words exactly, but there definitely was an insinuation that the Undertaker was involved in this title reign just by showing the footage of him and Undertaker tussling around. And Warrior drops the title to Sergeant Slaughter thanks to Macho King interference.
And you notice the footage, they never show Warrior with the title when he's up against Undertaker because he wasn't the champion. Like that was the whole thing. Like, and yeah, we see the Macho King. That was what I was gonna say. Like, that is the Warrior's greatest match. Macho King versus Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 7. Yeah, probably the story is more about the Macho King and his retirement and then the scene with Elizabeth afterwards, but this is Warrior's greatest match ever, and the fact that it's not even like really mentioned or not even like even in passing talked about really was disappointing in my opinion.
They have Vince Russo says Warrior's not someone you control or get to fall in line. Shane McMahon mentions how he marched to the beat of his own drum. Undertaker says he was really on edge and tells the story of him snapping on a kid in the airport. And the kid's parents happen to be well connected to WWE, go figure. So Vince McMahon hears word of this. He's not happy. He makes Jim Hellwig, in full character, record an apology video to the kid. But Vince doesn't want it in Warrior's character. Warrior says he's humble, apologizing. But what's it for? And I just busted out laughing because that doesn't make any sense.
This was the highlight in my opinion. I asked my wife before we went on live, like, what was her highlight, her favorite part of the documentary, and she said the same thing I was thinking. She was like, yeah, the apology video is the highlight of it because that's like a real like picture into what was going on in his total breakdown of like that relationship splitting off between Vince and Ultimate Warrior. As Ultimate Warrior put in the letter to Vince McMahon, this was the icing on the cake. This was the nail in the coffin for their relationship. And it's really, really sad. And it's really sad. It's really hilarious to watch because he's so frustrated. He's so over it. Like he's clicking on, like I said, he's clicking on that switch to go into warrior mode when Vince is telling him not to be in a warrior. Then Vince is telling him it's a work when he's telling him not to be in the warrior character. Like, it's very weird, and it's very mixed messages that Vince is giving him throughout this whole apology video. We got a couple of comments to highlight here in the live chat. Our good brother Rambo 77.619 saying hello. We got Haven first time catching True Hill Heat live, welcome to the live stream. Drop us a like, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified so you always get notified whenever we go live right here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. And of course, send in those super chats. We will highlight your comment, and not only that, you will be entered into our first ever call-in where you can be on camera with us on True Hill Heat. We're going to have more information on that on True Hill Heat 127. But if you donate $1 or more through the super chat right here on the YouTube channel, you will be entered and you will get the link to join us for our first ever call-in. But Romeo, yes, this is where it's starting to get a little even better right now.
The 1991 was a rough year for Warrior. Divorces with his wife, loses the championship, and then, of course, writes Vince the letter, voicing his frustration and anger. He wants Hulk Hogan money. He's got a list of demands. He says he's going to stay home. And in my words here, Vince McMahon does not negotiate with terrorists. And he says he couldn't wait to fire him.
That is a great quote. Vince McMahon will not negotiate with terrorists. He will not be held up. He is not with the shits. And Warrior's letter was so out there and so outrageous with the demands he's making, the $500,000, wanting to get paid like Hulk Hogan. And I'm thinking, as they're talking about Warrior's letter, I'm like thinking this whole time, how do you expect to get paid like Hulk Hogan? Like, we've already established that your reign did not draw like Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan's been around longer. Hulk Hogan was like a part of the success and the creation of Wrestlemania, their biggest moneymaker in the company history. Like, how do you expect to be on his level? Like, that is preposterous in my opinion. And Vince's response letter, you saw the salt bay. You saw the chef with the salt just pouring it on the wounds of Ultimate Warrior when you read this letter from Vince.
Yeah, the letter that says Hogan is a living legend, a bigger draw than you. You have become a living legend in your own mind. You are suspended for 90 days. Vince had to humble him. He had to humble the Ultimate Warrior, the humble warrior.
He's not the dingo warrior. He's not the ultimate warrior. He's the humbled warrior. Because, man, like, I will say the Talking Heads did a great job of like describing the mentality that Warrior had to have at this point. Because, like we've already established, they had a very much a father-son relationship in the Warrior's mind. As Vince would later address, he never viewed him as a son. He's like, I only have one son, even though you treat Triple H better than your own son. But we're not going to get into that one. But yeah, he said, like, in Warrior's mind, he's viewing Vince as this like paternal type of figure for him. So for that paternal figure to say, I like this son better than you when you're the oldest, you're like the oldest son from your own family. So you've the one that's been over at Vince's house probably more than Hogan with the relationship that develops between Warrior and Linda. He's probably over there probably more than Hogan at that point. And the Talking Heads did a great job of describing that, Vince, in a lot of ways, he got Hogan. He saw him in the Rocky movie, and he took that character and made it into Hulk Hogan. Macho Man Randy Savage developed the Macho Man persona, and he brought him in, and he became a star. The Ultimate Warrior is a character that he kind of shapes and molds into the first big star that he makes with all the eyes on him. When he is the top promotion, that is the first star that he really built from the ground up. So he has a very, like, I wouldn't say father-son relationship. I would say, Frankenstein. That's his Frankenstein. Like, he built this monster, and now this monster is turning back on him, and it's turning against him. And then he knows every word how to put him down and to put him back in his place. And that's what he puts in this letter.
So there was another favorite part of mine in this biography. It's when they're talking about this tag team match between Sergeant Slaughter, Iron Sheik versus Warrior and Hogan. And Slaughter tells the story of Hulk Hogan coming up with a plan for the Iron Sheik, not him, Iron Sheik, to break Warrior's leg, and I thought this was very, very too cold Scorpio and Road Warrior Hawk of him.
No, but the thing is, like with the Too Cold Scorpio story with Road Warrior Hawk from Collision in Korea, I was putting a little salt on. I was taking it with a grain of salt. A lot of what Too Cold Scorpio is saying. Sergeant Slaughter, I did not take anything with a grain of salt. I legitimately believe that Hulk Hogan was he's fucking Triple H in the Montreal Screwjob story. Like he's the guy that's like, no, he's gonna fuck you. We're gonna fuck him first. Like we are gonna. I want Iron Sheik. I want Cheeky Baby to break his fucking legs. Like, and Vince is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm already getting held up for $500,000. I want a lawsuit on top of that. Yo, Hulk Hogan is petty. This was legit. That's why I was like disappointed that Hogan wasn't a part of this documentary, because he needed to respond to this allegation, because this was a big allegation by Sergeant Slaughter that Hulk Hogan wanted to conspire and plot against Ultimate Warrior to have his legs broken during the tag team match at SummerSlam 1991. Crazy, crazy story that I never heard of before.
You think we'll see Hogan on Dark Side of the Ring?
I doubt it. Hogan's going to do the WWE doc more often than not over Dark Side of the Ring. And Dark Side of the Ring, I feel like I think they will probably talk about this part. I think that is probably something that probably Sergeant Slaughter has told to other wrestlers, and other wrestlers can kind of talk about it during the Dark Side of the Ring episode a little bit more. But yeah, it's a big allegation during this whole episode, in my opinion. We got in the comments here, we got Rambo saying his daughter's lovely girls, I'm sure, but they take whatever he always has to throw in a Tony Khan dig, Romeo. It seems Tony Khan is on everything, just mighty wonderful.
Amazing how you could get Tony Khan into a Warrior biography.
It's crazy. Like, dude, Rambo. We're talking about Warrior being obsessed, but I think you're kind of obsessed with Tony Khan, brother. He also says Dark Side with a Jim Cornette will tell it the truth. Bret Hart, who I met for 10 minutes and I had anything I wanted to ask. He said Warrior never signed for kids and ignored his fans and didn't do charity work. Wow. That's a big claim as well. We got Rachel. What's going on, Rachel? Joining us back to back weeks on our A&E biography. Says hi, SP3 and Romeo. How are you both? I am doing well. I enjoyed the Warrior documentary, and I'm enjoying it even more going over it with all of you and Romeo here. She says, sorry, missed start of the show. I just traveled home from work on the train. Well, welcome. She says, I'm going to wait for you to rate this show to see if I will bother watching the Warrior episode. Stay with us. We're going to give you our rating out of 10 and what we thought about this episode of the A&E biography. But yes, and then Rambo says, SP3 and John, I'm sure we'll break one of them. SP3, I heard a rumor you are being signed by AEW soon. He always has to mention AEW. You're obsessed, sir. Your obsession with AEW and Tony Khan is quite alarming for someone who says that they don't like them, but you always seem to mention them, even when we're doing a live chat that has nothing to do with it. And then we got Heel Steven here, the good brother, saying, sup, brothers, I'm at work, just wanted to stop by, show some love, and keep killing it, boys. Yes, thank you, Heel Steven, for dropping in on us. I'm gonna be live on Heel Steven's YouTube channel this Friday for the AEW Double or Nothing predictions with him and his crew. Very excited to finally be on Heel Steven's YouTube channel, a great YouTube channel. When you're done watching this live stream, go over there, subscribe to that channel as well, because he has great content. The Around the Point podcast, always a bunch of fun. And you could check out our archives for True Rewind with myself, Romeo, and Heel Steven reviewing World War III 1995, and Heel Steven with the best Macho Man impersonation on wrestling YouTube, in my opinion and yours, Romeo, right?
Oh yes. Oh yeah, should I say? Excuse me. Terrible. Gave me a layup and I bricked it.
It's okay. It's all right.
So, Warrior, some fences are mended here because Hogan has to take time off. So Warrior returns. He's a bit smaller. They speculate that maybe he wasn't so much into the gym and working out after everything that was going on. So he gets back on steroids and HGH. He's failing drug tests. They mention how he's on so many medications to treat a couple of medical conditions. And this is all after the 1992 steroid trial. It's not a good look for to be failing these drug tests. So he's fired again.
Yeah, this was not the best moment in time for the Ultimate Warrior. I think actually our good brother Jason Michael Campbell even mentioned this in the live chat here. He says, I never even noticed he was smaller during his second go around. One people were thinking that was a different Warrior and that original one died, but he never did die. Yes, yeah, that was actually one of the rumors. I don't know if you were aware of that, Romeo, that the rumor was when he came back in 1992.
I never heard of
that it wasn't the same Ultimate Warrior, that was a brand new Ultimate Warrior. And you could kind of see why. Like, he had less muscles. Ooh. He has brown hair instead of like the blondish brown hair that he had previously. And he lost significant amount of weight. Like, it was significant. Like, he was not this larger than life type of guy. He had muscles. And like Sam Roberts, this was one part I will give Sam Roberts that, you know, I would have loved myself to look like Ultimate Warrior in 1992, but the 1992 Ultimate Warrior definitely doesn't look like the 1990 Ultimate Warrior. Like, it's very significant that he lost all that weight. He was off of steroids for a time. He wasn't working out in the gym, and then he gets back on the steroids because he feels like that's a part of his whole persona, that he needs the steroids to be the Ultimate Warrior. And it's a sad thing, and it goes back to what we were talking about at the top of this review, is that this was a lot about the Ultimate Warrior psyche and his mind state and his mentality throughout all of this. Like, he was very obsessive with getting his body into that shape, and then it became like an obsession to get back to that level when he comes back in 1992 and he's significantly smaller.
Speaking of returns, he returns in 1996, and his father passes away, and Jim used the death sort of as a cover-up excuse to not work. And Vince doesn't buy it, says he hadn't seen your father in 10 years. He's terminated again.
It's like, damn, bro. Again. And it's funny, we just saw his return for WrestleMania 12, another video for you guys to check out in the archives. We watched it on True Rewind, his return in 1996. And, you know, I'm glad Triple H wasn't on this documentary, because, you know, Triple H would have been talking about, oh man, they let this guy come back, he squashes me, and then he's gone 3 months later. Like, Triple H would have buried him with this part, because this was you know, the Warrior squashing Triple H is very much a very important part of Triple H's story, not so much with the Warrior. And I think, I don't know which of the talking heads said it, but I think they made a great point where after WrestleMania 6 and WrestleMania 7, with his great match against Macho Man Randy Savage there, it always was about the returns with Ultimate Warrior. It was never about the matches. It was never about anything like really standing out outside of him keep returning. His return at WrestleMania 8, his return at WrestleMania 12, and then it's like a slow decline. It's like the balloon is getting all the air let out of it afterwards, after that. But we got a couple of highlights to highlight here. We got Honest Beyond Reasonable. Great name, by the way. He says, what's up, everybody? What's up to you, good brother? And he says, one of the rumors when I was a child was Kerry Von Erich played Warrior on a side house shows for WWF, while SB, which had Warrior with IC belt headlining. Kerry would do spots in squash matches. There was a lot of mysteries and unsolved rumors at the time with the Ultimate Warrior, and I do I do remember one of those being that, and I would think the same thing, because the Kerry Von Erich that would become the Texas Tornado in WWF, he had the tassels around his arms, he had the physique like an Ultimate Warrior, he had the hair like the 1990 Ultimate Warrior, so I could totally see it. And he also says, "Do you know if this is true?" I don't know if it's true. I have heard the rumor, and so did Rachel. She said, "Oh my God, I heard that as well in a UK magazine." She says, "Kerry on at least 3 occasions, they never advertised Warrior on Hogan headline shows, so it would always like a massive pop at those A shows back in the day." So, hey, you guys have read it in the UK magazine. I'm going to do my research and my due diligence. Maybe we could talk about it a little bit more when we talk about the Dark Side of the Ring episode of Ultimate Warrior, but that's a crazy rumor. I know the rumor about him being a totally different Ultimate Warrior in 1992 was false, but I hadn't heard too much about that one. I've heard it before, but I haven't heard the information that you guys give in the live chat. This is why we love you guys putting your thoughts in the live chat. So continue bringing those on. Drop us a like, drop us a heart emoji if you're watching us on Facebook or Twitter, or drop us an angry emoji if Ultimate Warrior really pisses you off. We got a bunch of people watching us on Facebook right now, but not enough people giving us a like and a heart emoji. Show your support. It definitely helps us out and gets more people to see this video. But yeah, Romeo, what do you think about that latest rumor with Kerry Von Erich being the Ultimate Warrior clone?
I could see that one being actually true, at least for like one occasion, where Kerry almost sort of looks like Warrior,
He
but
does.
and the story you mentioned, eventually coming the Texas Tornado, is almost like they really wanted him to be Warrior.
They did, though. It did feel like that a lot.
So they get into his personal life here, where they mention how he had become a conservative blogger. His current wife, Dana, who met him when he started a gym, just applying for a job, and they became happily ever after. She says it came from him listening to a lot of talk radio, political talk radio, specifically a guy like Rush Limbaugh, for example. He becomes a public speaker, doing some speeches at universities across the country. And there's one speech in particular that goes pretty bad in Connecticut. And I believe the year was 2003. He said some
2005.
wild stuff, and they got all the video footage of it. 2005, okay. All right, brace yourselves. Mocks Kwanzaa being just as legitimate as Santa and Christmas. Then he says that queers are as legitimate as heterosexuals. He makes fun of that. Someone says, "What? What are you talking?" And he says, "Queering doesn't make the world work." He gets laughed at, and the audience gets very passionate towards him, demanding an apology. Dana mentions how she was very disappointed with all this, and she let him know about it.
Wow. Like, this was first of all, I will say I did not like the jump that they did, because they're talking about, Warrior in like 1996, leaving, having the problems with his dad, and then they do like almost a 10-year jump to 2005 when he's doing the Warrior speaking tour. I understand that, Warrior, that this is a WWE doc, and they like to pretend stuff didn't happen. But his WCW downfall is something that needed to be addressed here. This was a big part of his career, and maybe it would have put Hulk Hogan in a bad light, but I'm okay with that. At least that's keeping it real. So I hope Dark Side of the Ring focuses a little bit, because we've seen that they have interviewed Eric Bischoff, so they can talk about his little run in 1998. We doubt that Eric Bischoff's going to put Hogan in a bad light, but yeah, that just needed to be even just brushed over. At least address the fact that he went to WCW in 1998. Now, as far as him being this conservative blogger, wow. Yeah, this was probably the best that Sam Roberts and other fans that they had as talking heads in this documentary out of this entire season of A&E biographies. I think this was the best part because they gave it a great perspective of we grew up as Ultimate Warrior fans and we knew the Ultimate Warrior as this larger than life comic book character come to professional wrestling, come to life. So to hear the man behind that, to hear Jim Helwig have such starch like viewpoints and such conservative viewpoints as to say queering doesn't make the world work. That is one of the most ignorant statements that I have ever heard a wrestler or a human being say in quite some time. Like it's just disgusting, some of his views and his bigotry and his racism. Him trying to pretend like racism doesn't exist. I know you're in heaven right now, so you're probably listening to us. I'm gonna let you know. As a black man for the last 33 years of my life, racism is still alive, and people sometimes conceal it, but you definitely didn't, sir. So God bless your soul, but Jesus Christ, did you have some horrible ways of looking at the world and not understanding that people had different viewpoints and people had different experiences from you. You were a very closed-minded individual. There's a certain line between conservative and just completely being closed off from the rest of the world. And I feel like he very much edged that line and slipped on the other side. Well, we got a couple of comments here that we can get to, Romeo. We got Khalil Kahil Robertson. Mr. Robertson says that was the rumor when I was a kid that Kerry was the second warrior and when he didn't show up. So more people is adding to this. We got to do our research, Romeo, before the Dark Side of the Ring episode. Rambo says apparently one of the suggestions for Triple H at WrestleMania 12 was to face Taker. Glad that didn't happen. Undertaker would have decked him. Would have decked him. Wait, I guess he means one of the suggestions for Warrior maybe was to face Taker, because I don't think Triple H was in the lineup for to verse Taker at WrestleMania 12. That seems really early for Triple H to be, contending with Taker at that point of his career. And then Mr. Robinson says, I wonder why, talking about why they didn't mention Warrior's 1998 run in WCW. And he also agrees with us that Dark Side of the Ring gonna come correct for real. And we got Rachel with a question here. She says, did you both ever see that clip on YouTube where two young men ask him for advice and then Warrior just gets up and drives them to middle of nowhere and yells at them and never to ask for advice? No, I did not see that. Have you, Romeo?
Well, we need to. As soon as this is over, we need to watch that.
You guys are giving us so much research and so much things to watch before we get to Dark Side of the Ring review on Friday. Thank you, guys. You guys are awesome.
So they get into the infamous Self-Destruction of Ultimate Warrior DVD, which was the WWE just washing their hands clean of them. Which, this is funny. I felt like I just watched the Self-Destruction of Macho Man on A&E a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, that did feel like that. Did feel like WWE just washed their hands of Macho Man with that biography. Lanny Poffo ain't gonna do nothing for WWE moving forward. I'm pretty sure of that.
Dana Warrior mentions how she didn't watch the DVD, but Warrior did. And Dana says it broke a part of him that she could never, ever fix, which I found very sad. And is this one of the most classless things WWE has ever done? This DVD?
Yeah, 100%. And you even heard with Warrior talking to Hulk Hogan during the Hall of Fame weekend that he was still hurt by it. And I don't think that he ever really addressed it with Vince. I feel like Vince probably, to call him up, and when Warrior finally decided to bury the hatchet, I think that he may have addressed it, and maybe Vince was like apologetic about it, but it's just it was just a slander job of the utmost status, and to have so many people get involved in it. And you even heard Mean Gene off camera moment, like being apprehensive about the Vince's approach with this whole self-destruction. Even he was hesitant to be a part of this. But yeah, it's one of the biggest hatchet jobs that WWE has ever orchestrated.
At this point of the biography, there are so many like up and down roller coaster weird transitions going here. You know, we just spoke of how the university speech, very nasty, vile things that Warrior said. You take that and you go into almost feeling sympathetic for Warrior with the self destruction DVD, and they take that and they go into his daughters talking very glowingly of him after just seeing wrestlers absolutely destroy and rip them apart. And then you go from that to the Hall of Fame induction where WWE's all welcome back, bury the hatchet, and the exchange with Hulk Hogan that I thought was a little bit awkward in front of a camera. Yeah.
Like it really was a bad edit in my opinion. Like a lot of this final 20-30 minutes of this documentary, I know our good brother True Draw Josh, was talking to us in one of our chats on Facebook, and he was like, the first 40 minutes or so was like really bad for him. For me, the last 20-30 minutes was just horribly edited, and it felt like, like his bad words was the reason why they did, the separation and stuff. But it was like it got all forgiven because people felt bad for him for the self-destruction and him, recovering his life. He seemed like he was a great father to his daughters and everything, and I'm never going to take that away from him because I don't know, only they can tell that story and tell that part of Jim Hellwick. But we never really got a public admittance of, he was wrong for those comments at UConn, and we never saw him really go through like a recovery process in his line of thinking and his mentality. So it makes me fear that he passed away still thinking that his conservative viewpoints were in the right, and that, all was forgiven with him going into the Hall of Fame, which was a very damning message in this documentary, in my opinion.
Dana says Warrior was eager to show Vince his own family, to sort of say that he didn't need Vince to be his family anymore. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was very, very interesting. A very interesting viewpoint that Dana Warrior had, and you can kind of understand that where you have this daddy issue and someone fills that void, and then they basically shut you down and put you out to pasture and try to diminish you and slander you afterwards, and then you're finally able to become the family man that you always wanted and to aspire for, and the family that you thought you had that abandoned you, you're able to come back and be like, show them like, look, I was actually able to get what I always wanted from you, and you don't have to be that for me anymore. It's an interesting kind of like little dig at Vince without being a dig at Vince, in my opinion. I don't know if you understand, but that's how I felt.
Then there's the Raw after Mania, it's eerie to me, the eerie footage of just
Yes.
Warrior on there, knowing what's going to happen a few days later, and the speech, the lines he says in that promo. And Vince talks about how finally Jim understood how it all worked. And that may have been the only time that he was at peace with himself. Vince gets a little choked up when bringing up that Warrior dies a few days later.
Yeah, this was when I finally, was able to overcome his comments at UConn and the bigotry and racism and homophobia that he showed. And, to hear that speech again, I had to tell my wife, like, this is him giving his own eulogy, really, because, every man heart beats his last beat. Every man takes his last breath. Like, it's a very profound promo that he cuts, especially knowing that he passes away 2 days later. But really, in this whole portion of this documentary, Dana Warrior is the highlight because I never heard her go in depth about his final day, and just seeing how emotional she still is 7 years later. You know that moment and that day is never going to escape her, and her breaking down and crying, saying that she didn't want her daughters to see their father like that and be scared, but at the same time she felt like she robbed them of their last moments with their father. Like, honestly, like, maybe it didn't make me sympathetic of Warrior, but it truly made me sympathetic of her and how strong she's had to be that day and for the last 7 years. And to see their daughters like grow up and be, have that spirit that they try to aspire and call the warrior spirit. It really made you like resonate and connect with the entire family, and especially Dana.
Yeah, when she was detailing his death, that was very sad, heartbreaking stuff, and it almost felt like I shouldn't be there having her relive these thoughts. Like, that should be a personal moment for her. It wasn't any fun to see her relive all that.
No, it really wasn't. Like, it's like, damn, I know she was probably the most important person to have a part of this biography, but it really made me feel for her having to relive all of that.
Paul Heyman, they're wrapping this up. He says what he built at home was far greater than anything the Ultimate Warrior achieved in front of TV cameras. And the tragedy of Warrior is that when he finally found the love he couldn't find as a child, and when he finally had nothing left to hate, that's when his heart gave out. That was just a masterful piece of words by Paul Heyman.
You know what, like Dark Side of the Ring, they have Chris Jericho as their narrator. A&E just needs to hire Paul Heyman. He needs to narrate all these biographies because he was absolutely great in the little portions that he did contribute to this documentary. Like, he just put everything and described everything and analyzed everything so perfect. Like, that last line about his heart giving out when he found the love that he always been looking for, that is tragic. Like, Warrior story is kind of a tragic story. Dana and the family wanted to be a more inspiring story, but more than anything, it's very tragic, and it's very appropriate that we have the Dark Side of the Ring episode to follow this.
And Dana ends it saying, Warrior's story doesn't end with his death. His spirit still lives on in those of us trying to be better.
Absolutely. She was wonderful throughout this. And like I said, she showed so much strength, so much of, man, the warrior spirit that she's always describing. I feel it more from her than I ever felt it from the Ultimate Warrior, honestly, because her description of those final days and the strength to kind of relive it in this documentary, it's really admiring and really inspiring as a person for me. A couple of comments for us to highlight here. Rachel giving us the link for us to look up Romeo. She said, just type into YouTube, Warrior Asks for Advice. Rambo actually saw the video and he says, I watched it back so many times years ago as it makes me laugh so much when you see the kids looking at each other like, what the fuck, as he drives them and they're not allowed to speak. Elsa also saw the clip. She says that clip is gold of Warrior Asks for Advice. We got Khalil saying, Rambo, is that after he became Warrior officially and was a public speaker? I believe so. It seems like that from what all the comments here are saying. We also got Warrior saying, WWE needs to drop that Warrior Award gimmick. Like, all the great people that have received it, Warrior wouldn't have given any of them a second. Should be like a John Cena award for Make-A-Wish. That's actually a great point, Rambo. See, when you stop talking about AEW, Tony Khan, and Kenny Omega, you actually make great points. We also got Heel Steven rejoining us, saying, back brothers on my break eating these oxtails. Well, thank you for making us your viewing during your break, good brother. Enjoy those oxtails for sure. And then, but yes, that brings us to the end of our A&E The Ultimate Warrior review. So Romeo, you know what time it is. It is time for us to give the people our MVP, our LVP, and our rating of the A&E biography, The Ultimate Warrior. Let's start with MVP, Romeo.
I thought there were a lot of solid contributors to this biography. I thought the biographer, I forgot his name, and I mentioned it earlier, but he biography Warrior on his own. I thought he gave a lot of good information. Shane McMahon was good. Dana Warrior was good, but probably Paul Heyman was like the best of them. He just brought so much passion into speaking about the tragedy of the Ultimate Warrior. It's like he was cutting a promo.
Absolutely, it really was. I'm gonna go co MVP for Dana Warrior because, like I said, like she showed so much strength in the throughout this entire documentary and describing those. Really, it was the final few minutes of this documentary where she really took home that crown and kind of took it or not took it to make this a co MVP. She really took it home by describing those final days with Warrior and the heartbreak that she feels in kind of having that feeling in the back of her mind that she stole the final moments that her kids would have had with their father. It was heartbreaking, tragic, but it really made me admire Dana Warrior. And of course, like you, I agree with you. Paul Heyman is just the best storyteller in professional wrestling. Like he added so much to this documentary, and really, in my eyes, I feel like Paul Heyman made this exceed my expectations of what I expected out of this. So let's move on to
And
LVP now.
LVP,
You can go first, Romeo.
for me, Rosenberg and Sam Roberts. It's just that when you're watching biography on Ultimate Warrior, like, do I need to hear from those two so much? Like, they had way too many contributions in this biography. I'd rather hear from many other people than those two.
Gotta agree with you. I would have said like Dave Meltzer because I felt like Dave Meltzer probably did contribute a lot more than what they showed of him. They really only used him for the early part of his career, so it was like, damn, you could have used him for a little bit more. But I agree with you, Rosenberg. I'll give it to Rosenberg because I feel like Sam Roberts, had an amp description of, how a fan's viewpoint would have been for, seeing the Warrior with his conservative viewpoints after being a fan of his when you were a kid. So Sam Roberts, I will spare him from this LVP and I will give a solo LVP to Peter Rosenberg. I feel like Peter Rosenberg has been overused throughout this entire season of A&E Biography. I understand he is viewed as the WWE fan point of view when it comes to his analysts and broadcasting, but he's been totally overused throughout this entire season, and this was the main one that just felt like he was just tacked on. Like when you got the comedian Ron Funds, he was actually pretty good here, and like his description of how fans would feel watching Warrior with his conservative viewpoints, especially being an African American wrestling fan who was like a kid when Warrior was on his rise and feeling like you're a little Warrior and then learning that Warrior doesn't like you. That's a great viewpoint and a great contribution that he gave. Rosenberg didn't add anything to this documentary. It's just like, WWE, please stop using him for every single one of these. It's getting he was like one of the worst parts of the Shawn Michaels one last week, and now this one, he was just overused, and he's definitely the LVP for me. And then out of 10, Romeo, and you let us guys know in the live chat who was your LVP, who was your MVP, and out of 10, what did you give the A&E Biography, The Ultimate Warrior? But let's start with you, Romeo. Out of 10, what did you give this one?
I think it surpassed my expectations a little bit. I give it a 7.5. Um, it's just amazing at the end how they were able to get me. And get me. I felt bad. Like they had just, talked about how much of an ass he was in that speech, and that they were still able to make him sort of look sympathetic at the end. And Dana and his daughters. You see how great of a family guy he is. Like, they got me, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. Like, that's some crazy storytelling to go on that roller coaster of emotions. They missed a little bit with the WCW stuff. They missed a little bit with just like how hot and cold him in the relationship with WWE would be. Like, how did he just get back into the Hall of Fame just like that? They're missing something there. But I'll give it a 7.5. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. I think our lowest rating so far for me was the Macho Man one. I think I gave it 6.5 out of 10. This one was a solid 7 out of 10. I think that we learned some new information. The Warrior story on the SummerSlam 1991 story is just crazy to me. Hogan trying to plot against a Warrior and get his legs broken. Just absolutely fascinating to me. The really the holes in the documentary hurt it, like the holes with the 1998 and stuff like that, with him going to WCW, the holes in basically jumping from 1996 to 2005. Like, there's more stuff for us to address in those years that you could address, and then jumping from 2005 and the self-destruction of Ultimate Warrior all the way to 2014, and like it was very scattered in the last like 20-30 minutes. So I think that's what held it back the most to me. So I agree with you, a 7 out of 10 for A&E Biography on the Ultimate Warrior. We got Heel Steven in the comments saying Thursday is going to be interesting, though, with the Dark Side of the Ring episode for the Ultimate Warrior. I definitely agree with you. And on Friday, when we do our live stream review for the Dark Side of the Ring Ultimate Warrior episode, we are going to compare and contrast both of these stories. A&E Biography has more time to tell their story since they get 2 hours, while the Dark Side of the Ring has 1 hour. So it should be very interesting there. Romeo?
By the way, fun fact: the same people who did the Stone Cold biography did this one.
I kind of can see that. I kind of can see how it was shot and the use of his mother. His mother is definitely an honorable mention as well. Definitely giving us a lot of information about his youth and how he grew up, and really making him connect with us right from the beginning. She did a good job of explaining like his upbringing. We got of course Brett Thomas in the comments. He has to bring up always Jake and Logan Paul. He says, I think he's talking about the Bob Backlund video. He said it was so funny. And then he says, update, Logan is sparring well, and he took on 3 guys at once in last week's video. You gotta love Brett Thomas and his Logan and Jake Paul reviews and updates. And then we got a few others here. We got Rachel saying, that's because you're both nice people, Romeo, to feel sadness at the end. See, she thinks she thinks you're nice. She thinks you're a nice person, Romeo. Isn't that sweet?
That's beautiful.
Beautiful. The people love Romeo. Thank you everyone who's been commenting with us live. Keep those comments coming. If you're watching us on demand, drop in the comments section what you thought about the A&E biography for the Ultimate Warrior. Give us your MVP, your LVP, and out of 10, what you rate this episode of the A&E biography for the Ultimate Warrior. Next Monday, what do we have on tap for the A&E biography next week, Romeo?
Bang bang, Mick Foley.
Mick Foley. So we go from a very controversial figure in the Ultimate Warrior to one of the nicest figures in wrestling history. Someone that I've never really heard anyone say anything bad about him, except for maybe Ric Flair. Mick Foley. Next week, we're going to review the A&E biography for Mick Foley. And our good brother, Kelvin, in the comments saying, Romeo, nice. Laugh my fucking ass off. Yeah, okay, pal. Love it. And then Honest Beyond Reasonable, he says 6 out of 10 for this episode of A&E Biography, The Ultimate Warrior. He also calls Romeo a nice guy. See, people are overcoming Kelvin and calling Romeo a nice guy. We might have to, we got drunk guy JJ, we got top guy JJ, nice guy Romeo, or nice guy RAC maybe.
Well, I would like to think that this Ultimate Warrior shirt has really brought out the best in me.
You were displaying your warrior spirit, sir. We also got Honest Beyond Reasonable saying that Mick Foley, he's the best. And then we also got Rachel reminding us, don't forget the advice video for Warrior. So Romeo, we got homework to do before Friday for our Dark Side of the Ring review. Hope you're ready. Hope you're ready, Romeo. Romeo, please tell these fine people where they can find you on social media and the True Hill Heat YouTube channel.
The Pride of NY on Twitter and Instagram. Check out Rated Raw Superstars. Me and Drunk Guy JJ review Raw every week. Check out NX3. Me, Chris G, and Ness review NXT every week. And of course, these reviews, The Dark Side of the Ring, will be back for Ultimate Warrior Part 2, The Other Side.
Absolutely. And Rachel, with one last comment for us, she said, "You are both nice, and SP3's wife sounds lovely. I still want to see her on screen. One day, we'll convince her. One day, or maybe on the second YouTube channel that we start up, you might see her for the catfish reviews, as we talked about last week. Maybe we shall see. But definitely check out Romeo on social media, and of course, when you're there, go over and follow me, True Heel SP3. I got a big week coming up all over. Later today, I'm going to be live on Talk Wrestling. That's on the Talk Sport radio. If you're out in the UK, you can listen to us live. If you have any podcast platform, you can listen to the Talk Wrestling podcast on all your favorite podcast platforms, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. I'm going to be on with Alex McCarthy and Will Gavin to preview AEW Double or Nothing. That's going to be later today if you're listening to it live on the Talk Sport radio, or you can listen to it on demand on the Talk Wrestling podcast. I'm going to Wednesday, of course, I am back live on Powered 4 TV YouTube channel and Facebook with John Scott for Powered 4 SP3. We're going to be talking about all the latest wrestling news, as well as do a little preview for AEW Double or Nothing. Then I'm going to be live with Alex McCarthy on Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. BST on Wrestling Daily, on the Wrestling Daily YouTube channel, as we talk about the latest news, and we do a great debate, as we always do on Wrestling Daily. I'm trying to remember everything in my head. This is hard sometimes, Romeo, I will say. Friday. Thursday or Friday. I'm not too sure yet. I'll update it on my Twitter, but Thursday or Friday, I'm gonna be live on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel for the AEW Double or Nothing official preview and predictions. I'm going to have an announcement on my guest host on that. That's going to be up on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube, on the Sportskeeda Wrestling social media, as well as my Twitter page. So keep on the lookout for that, as well as I'm going to be back on Sportskeeda Wrestling immediately following SmackDown on Friday with Smack Talk, as I return with Rick Ucchino and Dutch Mantel as we review Friday Night SmackDown. And then, of course, Friday, right here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, what Friday has been. It has been Dark Side of the Ring Friday. Join us on Friday, myself, Romeo, if North Korea does not abduct him and his Wi-Fi, with Miss Chrissy Love. We're going to review our Dark Side of the Ring episode 5 for season 3 on the Ultimate Warrior. So we're going to hear from the Ultimate Warrior's first wife. We're going to hear from Jake the Snake Roberts, and we're going to get probably a totally different documentary than what we got here with the A&E Biography. So check that out on Friday. And then Saturday, we go live Saturday morning for True Hill Heat 127 with our special guest, Stephanie Chase and Richard Benson of the Grabble app. So this is going to be a huge True Hill Heat 127 as we talk about all the latest wrestling news. We're going to have a preview and predictions for Double or Nothing. This is going to be so much fun. So check us out live Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. BST for all of our friends in the UK. And man, we got a bunch of comments from Rachel and Brett before we close things out. So let's run through it. Show us some love. We got Rachel saying she's going to tune in to Talk Sport later. Definitely. She said she also asked when you come into the UK soon, 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 I promise. And she says you need a PA, SP3. I do. Maybe they can keep track of everything, and I could just have them make a whole layout of what I'm doing during the week. That would help. And Brett Thomas says I call in to talk sport all the time, and so yeah, why don't you call in this week, Brett Thomas? You can hear from me talking about AEW Double or Nothing coming up on Sunday. And Brett Thomas also says that Will Gavin tried to ban me, so I'll be under a different name. Brett Thomas, always making trouble. That's why he's one of the true heels, a part of our community, Romeo. So, Romeo, any final words for the folks before we close things out?
Looking forward to Dark Side of the Ring. Can't wait. This is going to be interesting.
Can't wait indeed. Thank you everyone who joined us during this live stream. For everyone watching us on demand, drop us a comment in the comment section. Like this video, share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family. Of course, if you are new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, smash that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content right here on True Hill Heat. If you're watching us on Facebook or Twitter, drop us a like, a heart emoji, an angry emoji. Leave your comments on the A&E biography for the Ultimate Warrior. So, for the conductor of reporting, Mr. Romeo Anthony Colon, it is me, your True Heel Phenom, SP3. We are signing off for the A&E biography for the Ultimate Warrior. And we will talk to you this coming Friday for the Dark Side of the Ring episode on the Ultimate Warrior. See you next time.